Welcome to the Moving to Denver podcast with your host, Haley Bartlett, your Aussie agent. Good morning. Welcome back to the Moving to Denver podcast. I hope you have enjoyed the initial few episodes. We are up to episode 5, I believe, this week, and it is just me. I do not have any guests because I wanted to tackle a subject that comes up a lot from people that are moving from out of state and moving to the Denver area. You have to excuse me. The allergies have started to kick in for the season, so I am trying my best here. So today I want to talk about where to move in the Denver area. We get that question a lot from people that are moving here. And I think until you've actually come and visited Denver, it's really hard to understand just how big Denver is from one side to the other, actually in all directions. We are spreading out east now as well. We butt up to the mountains when you go west. Going north, you can go all the way to Fort Collins and find neighborhoods all the way up there. And then going south, pretty much the same thing all the way out to Colorado Springs. And even though these are different areas and not Denver to say, some people need to move out to those areas because of different reasons. So some of the things you want to consider when you're thinking about where to move in the Denver area are where your employment is going to be. We do have some hellish traffic here in the Denver area, so you don't want to have a super long commute, especially during those winter months when it snows. If there's an accident on one of the major interstates like 25 or 70, or 36, then you're going to get stuck in that traffic. So you really want to work out how much you are willing to commute every day so that you are not spending hours in the car. So the kind of main areas of where people tend to find employment are the Denver Tech Center area, so around Centennial, Littleton areas, downtown Denver, and the surrounding suburbs there. Out to Boulder, there's a lot of tech going on from Broomfield out to Boulder. So that's another area where people are starting to really kind of pick up jobs. And then out to DIA, so the airport. A lot of people are coming in to work at the airport as well. So those are kind of your main job hubs. And then you want to look at a radius around there depending on your tolerance for traffic and commute times. The good news is there's so many great neighborhoods around the Denver area that you really can't go wrong no matter what area of Denver you need to live in to keep that commute time. So the other thing people tend to ask about is family-friendly neighborhoods. Yep, I get a lot of people asking about that. So like I said, good news is we have a lot of great neighborhoods in the area. A lot of really good family-friendly neighborhoods. And it depends what you're looking for. Are you looking for like a big HOA that covers a pool and a gym and all these other things? Are you looking for no HOA so that you can store a camper? Are you looking for a neighborhood so that your kids can walk to school? And that brings us to the other thing that people tend to ask about, and that is schools. So there's a couple of favorite school districts in the Denver area. Those would be Cherry Creek School District, Boulder Valley School District out near Boulder. Cherry Creek covers more of that southeast side of Denver. So areas like Centennial, Southeast Aurora, even parts of Littleton are covered by that Cherry Creek. Another good school district that people tend to like is Adams 12, and that once again is on your north side of Denver. So those are probably three of the most popular. We do have a school district that does 4 days a week, and that is Brighton 27J. They do not go to school on Mondays, so they just do school Tuesday to Friday, and then they have less time off over the year overall, which some parents love, and some parents can't handle that because they have full-time jobs and finding childcare in that time frame is difficult for them. So that's just something to keep in mind when you are looking at areas. So that family-friendly neighborhood and good schools tend to tie into each other. What you need to do is talk to someone that lives here. If you are looking for that, perfect school district and then the neighborhood that's close, you really need an expert that can help you kind of narrow that down. Another thing you want to consider when you're looking at which area to move into is how much you want to pay for a house or how much you want to pay in rent, because there's towns and cities throughout that cost more than others. Whether you are renting an apartment, whether you're renting a house, whether you're looking to buy. So you really need to consider what your budget is, whether that be your monthly rental budget or whether that be your overall home buying budget. Some people get on like mum boards, or they get on Facebook, or they get on City Data and they ask, what's the best neighborhood? And then when you kind of get rolling, get talking to them, they can't afford to live in that best neighborhood. And everybody's idea of a best neighborhood is different. So you really want to know ahead of time what that set budget is that you need to be within. And then you want to start looking at neighborhoods and areas close to work, that commute time, that are within your budget. And that's where I always want to start with people. I want to know where they'll be working, and I want to know what their overall budget is, because that is probably the two most important things. And then you can narrow it down from there. So I'm going to talk about some of the great things about each side of Denver. So if you're looking on the south side of Denver, you have some great towns like Highlands Ranch, Littleton, Centennial, Southeast Aurora has some really nice neighborhoods, and you'll hear different things about Aurora when you bring that up with people. But those, the general area out there is very nice. It seems to be a lot more built on top of one another. You do have the DTC area that I mentioned before, so that Denver Tech Center area there, which tends to, get more traffic. I do not like driving south unless I have a purpose to get down there. I definitely just don't get in the car and say I'm going to drive south, because the traffic from north to south can be a bear sometimes. But there are some great neighborhoods, parks, trails. Like if you like to bike, there's great trails that come all the way into Denver, go all the way out kind of to the mountain areas. You have Red Rocks out there in that area that you're close to, and that is a wonderful concert venue. Last year we went quite a few times, and we took our son for the first time, and it's amazing. Also, people go there during the day to run up the stairs, and my dad did that once when he was visiting, and then he puked afterwards. So that was fun. So be careful with the altitude when you first move here. Don't go doing stupid things at Red Rocks. There's a good story for you. So yeah, it's a great area, and I have friends that live out there. They love it. Another area out there that is super family friendly is Parker. It's a little bit more affordable too than maybe Highlands Ranch. It has the cutest little downtown area, and you just need to kind of keep your eye on the schools when you're looking in certain neighborhoods out there. Littleton also has a older downtown area that's kind of central, which is nice if you like that kind of thing. We like to be able to walk places from our house and where we live. So Parker and Littleton have those kind of central older downtown areas. If you're coming north, we have a lot of great areas north too. There's Thornton, Broomfield, Westminster. I prefer North Westminster. Erie is another city. Now, Erie has some issues with fracking, and it depends who you talk to whether that is an issue or not, but it's definitely something to consider. There are a lot of oil rigs in that Erie area, and as you go further north, you're going to find more of those as well. Frederick, Firestone, Dacono, all great little towns that are really starting to take off. A lot of new neighborhoods going up in those areas. And then you kind of hit Longmont, which if you're working in Denver is probably too far. You don't want to go all the way to Longmont. Then if we go west a little bit, you have places like Golden. Golden is amazing. You feel like you're sandwiched in between two mountains, It has an old downtown area. They have wonderful Christmas parades and Christmas events and parades throughout the year. It's a fun little town, but it is more expensive because it is closer to the mountains. Boulder's going to be the same. Your average house price in Boulder is around or above $1 million. Boulder's getting busier than it was when I moved here 7 years ago. A lot of traffic. Don't particularly love driving in Boulder anymore, but I still love going there because it just has a great vibe. Louisville, Lafayette are kind of in that northwest quadrant. Great towns and cities to live in. Once again, more expensive than Thornton, Broomfield, Erie. The closer you're going to get to those kind of mountain towns and the closer you're going to get to Boulder, the more expensive housing's going to be. But some of those west areas are great to live in if you love access to the mountains, if you want access to trails and mountain biking. And, you know, Boulder has a reputation for being a little hippie. So if you love that kind of vibe, then maybe Boulder's a good place. Then you head out east and you have towns like Brighton and you have Aurora, and east is kind of expanding. Depends how far east you want to go. If you want to live closer to Kansas and get that Kansas feel, you can do that. You can go all the way out to the border. But the biggest kind of cities are probably going to be Brighton and Aurora. And I saw a report the other day that said Aurora is one of the fastest growing cities in the USA right now. So it's definitely expanding and definitely growing. And then there's other kind of cities within that Brighton out to Aurora area that fit in and have different feels. So it just depends what you're looking for. If you're working at the airport, then you're probably going to be one of those like Brighton, Thornton, Aurora. You're probably going to be want to be in one of those areas so that your commute is not crazy. So I think I've covered a lot of cities and towns there, just kind of rambling on, but it is one of those questions that I tend to get a lot. And it really is dependent on what you're looking for. So I think it's important to talk to an expert. It's important to talk to a realtor like me or somebody that knows the areas to really help you narrow it down. Like I said, getting on some of those Facebook boards or getting on city data can be great, but it sometimes leaves people feeling more confused because you get so many answers thrown at you and none of them are specific to your needs unless you get on there and give really specific details like how much rent you want to pay, where you're going to work, you know, what you're looking for in a neighborhood. It's really hard to narrow it down because of all the areas and neighborhoods that are kind of in that Denver metro area. So if you are thinking of moving to the Denver area, you're not sure where you should live, I am happy to chat. I'm always happy to nut that out with people and go through the questions and go through the process and help you decide where the best place is going to be for you, because where somebody else might love living might not work for you. Some people can afford to live in Boulder, while some of us can't. So it really just depends on your specific, sorry, there's those allergies, your specific needs and wants and how we can match those up. So I hope that kind of helps everybody with a little more detail on areas and really what your focus should be on to start the search of moving to Denver. And just to recap that once again, that would be commute time. It would be affordability, so how much you can afford. And then it would be the other things you need, like do you need a good school district? Do you need to be close to the mountains? Do you love to bike? Those lifestyle pieces in helping you find that right place. And I think I'm about to lose my voice, so this is probably a good time to finish. Isn't live recording just so much fun? Thank you for joining me on this quick episode of the Moving to Denver podcast. I hope it helps. If you need information on moving to Denver, I'm your gal. Get in contact with me. Haley at your, Y-O-U-R, Aussie, A-U-S-S-I-E, agent.com, or just look for yourausieagent.com online, and I'll be happy to help. Have a fabulous day, month, year, and we'll chat again next week. See you guys.